Today I'm showing you my recommended leveling Lightning Storm build for the Druid in Season 3. As you can see, if I lean out of the way here, chair, hello. Lightning Dancer's aspect is the main one you're looking for if you're going to be going with Lightning Storm. This aspect allows you to clear the screen much easier than if you just had Lightning Storm by itself. But if you're planning on using any of the other builds on this infographic, make sure you click on my Mobalytics link and go to my profile so you can see the builds you need for yourself. My previous video was for the pulverized leveling build, and it's looking like I'm not going to have enough time to do the other leveling builds as videos, but I'll still have the written guides for you. So I'm wearing mostly Stormclaw gear, but here's the general idea. When you go into combat, you're going to be using your Cataclysm, then you're going to use Rabies on the enemy, you're going to use your Poison Creeper on the biggest group of enemies, and then you're going to stand back and you're going to Lightning Storm. And typically with the build, you'll have more Spirit coming in. I'm currently on Stormclaw, so I don't have anything for Spirit. But you'll have Umbral, and you'll also have Spirit cost reduction, hopefully, as you're leveling. For our skills, we're going to be using Earth Spike as our main resource generator. We're also going to be using Lightning Storm as our main source of damage. Although early on in the game, poison damage is quite strong, so Rabies and Poison Creeper are also going to do a good job of this. Keep in mind that all three of these can apply CC, and that's going to trigger your Umbral and give you that Spirit regen. We've also got Trample. This is a huge amount of Spirit that you can use to top off your Spirit anytime you need it. And then we've got Cataclysm. Cataclysm is just a big chunk of damage, and it synergizes well with the type of stats you might be picking up along the way. For our Spirit boons, we're going to go with Wariness. If you do get Mighty Storm's aspect and you want to change over to Earth and Might, you can always go with Gift of the Stag. This is going to increase your maximum Spirit, so you get more every time you get that refresh on your Spirit. For Eagle, we're going with Scythe Talons and Avian Wrath. For Wolf, we're going to go with Pack Leader. And then for Snake, we're going to go with Overload. For our aspects, the main things we're looking for are Lightning Dancer's aspect and Umbral. If we don't get those, it makes it less worthwhile to run with the build, but it's still a good build to run. Aspect of Inner Calm, Aspect of Elements, and Edgemaster's aspect are all going to be options that you can run for some extra damage. You could even run Overcharged here if you wanted to. Our lucky hit chance is a little bit low on Lightning Storm, especially early in the game, so it's not the best one to run, but Overcharge still synergizes well. Then we've got Protecting Aspect, Aspect of Disobedience, Aspect of Might. Those are all our defensive aspects that we might want to pick up. You could also go the Juggernaut aspect. I haven't seen it in game, so I don't know the exact scaling on it, but it could be a good source of armor. And then we've got Virulent aspect. This is just going to make our Rabies more effective in the early game, and that Rabies is going to be really strong early on, so this is a great one to pick up. For the stats on gear, what we're going to be looking for, if you click on this little slider right here, you can see the detailed stat breakdown, but you can also see that if you just hover over a piece of gear. But let's go in here for now. So for the gear, basically, you're just going to look for defensive stats mostly on your defensive items like the pants and the chest. For the helm, we're going to prioritize ranks to Poison Creeper because this is just going to be a lot of damage early on. Same thing for the pants, ranks to Rabies is going to be another thing you want to prioritize early on. Obviously, if you're looking for endgame items, it's going to be a different case, but for this early leveling build, these are going to be very strong if you come across them. Same for the gloves, ranks to Lightning Storm is going to be big, but critical strike chance and lightning critical strike damage are going to be a nice option for you as well. On the boots and the amulet, spirit cost reduction is going to be a huge one. Movement speed is always nice when you're leveling, just to have a little bit of extra getting around speed. For your extra stats on the amulet, you can just go for defensive stuff. And on the ring, we're basically going for what we're going to be using in the end game, which is critical strike chance, close, distant, and lucky hit chance. The close and the distant are nice because poison damage doesn't work with things like crits, so this is going to apply to everything, but it's also going to scale your paragons later in the game. And it's the same situation when it comes to our weapon. We're going to be going with a two-hander that has willpower, damage to close, damage to distant, and another useful damage type. And we don't have overpower here, so we're either going to be going for damage to healthy enemies or damage to crowd-controlled enemies as our implicit. For our gems, we're going with Emerald on the weapon, Ruby on the armor, and Diamond on the jewelry. Feel free to rearrange your resistances based on what you need. For our Seneschal construct, we're going with Flash of Adrenaline. This is going to use tactical support, duration support, and safeguard support. Then for our Tempest, which is our ranged attack, we're going to use arcing support, multi-shot support, and most importantly, poison support. The reason why I say most importantly for poison support is because this has a 20% chance each second to spread all poison damage to an additional enemy. This says all poison damage, so we have to assume that this is going to move our poison creeper and our rabies damage over to another target. Considering the fact that we're going to be arcing and multi-shotting, which means we'll probably hit everything in the room, and we already have rabies that's going to be spreading between enemies, along with Tempest spreading between enemies, this can be very crazy and potentially compound on itself. If you go to the written guide on my Mobalytics link underneath the video, or join our Discord and go to the builds channel to find the link, you're going to find additional information underneath the written guide each time. This is where you can find basic skill rotations and additional information. Now in our skill tree, I took the time to make sure that all of the points were aligned perfectly so that you can follow this list as you're leveling up and get the exact points at the right time. Starting out, we're getting Earth Spike going to Fierce Earth Spike. Then we're getting Lightning Storm going to Primal Lightning Storm. We're going to be filling our points in Lightning Storm pretty early because we don't have anything in the defensive tree. Then we're going to move on to Poison Creeper, where we're going to go to Ferocious Poison Creeper. Then we'll be picking up Trample, going to Savage Trample. Rabies, going to Natural Rabies. Cataclysm, going to Supreme Cataclysm. Then we'll be getting Ursign's Strength, and going back to fill the rest of our passives. The most important passives are going to be these here, Bad Omen and Electric Shock. And then we've also got some additional damage from Wild Impulses, some resist from Ancestral Fortitude, some damage from Nature's Reach, some damage from Envenom, and more damage from Resonance. If you do happen to get yourself a Mighty Storms aspect, feel free to change the Ursign's Strength over to Earth and Might. Additionally, if you're finding yourself struggling with Spirit, take off Ursign's Strength and just go Perfect Storm. You'll lose a little bit of damage, but it's much better to have the Spirit you need than to run into issues. Now, I didn't include full Paragon boards on this one because I'm putting out an actual endgame build, but here's a good way to dump all of your stats in the first tree while you're still leveling up and waiting to figure out where you're going from here. Also, the first glyph I'm recommending going with is Electrocution. So I've actually ran myself shorter on time than I intended, so I'm going to be putting out my endgame Lightning Storm build pretty quickly after this one. I'm also going to be putting out my Season 3 Stormclaw build. You guys will have those at the beginning of the season, so you're ready to go. And then I'll make it a point to come back to those and update them in the next week or so. As always, thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. Daddy Druid out.
Out of my mind.